Today's episode is sponsored by Lingoda, an amazing online language school. And Lingoda have an incredible offer for all of you listening, the Lingoda Language Sprint. Lingoda's language sprints are 2-month learning challenges where you take lessons intensively and see big progress quickly. In the sprint challenge, you will take 15 classes a month, and if you take their super sprint challenge, you can have 30 classes a month. What's the prize if you take all the classes and complete the challenge? Your money back. If you complete Lingoda's language sprint, you will get 50% of your money back. And if you complete their super sprint challenge, you will get 100% of your money back. That's right, if you complete the super sprint, you will get 60 English classes with professional English teachers for free. Already over 14,000 students have won Lingoda's Sprint Challenge and got their money back. Lingoda has thousands of English teachers, classes running every day, every hour, and at every level, including business English. So if you're looking for an amazing opportunity to study English every day, immerse yourself in the language, and intensively learn, sign up for Lingoda's Sprint Challenges today. Click the link in the podcast description for more information and use my code ThinkingEnglish20 for €20 or $25 off your Sprint registration. Hello, I'm Tom Wilkinson and welcome to the Thinking in English podcast, a podcast for intermediate to advanced level English learners. Today, I want to discuss the benefits of long-term thinking and planning when it comes to language learning. You can find the full transcript of this episode over on the Thinking in English blog, the link's in the description. Make sure you're following me on Instagram and on YouTube. Join my Patreon to support the podcast and also improve your English in my conversation clubs. Leave a 5-star rating wherever you are listening, and here is today's episode. I was a politics student for many years, and like many politics students, studying the subject made me very pessimistic about how the world works and how decisions are made. Politicians are only elected for a short period. For example, a senator in the US is elected for 6 years, a president for 4, and a House of Representative member for just 2 years. After being elected, these politicians need to start campaigning in elections again quite soon. Now, this is great for accountability. We can make sure our politicians are working and vote for change if needed. But it is bad for tackling long-term problems. Solving things like system-wide economic problems, the environment, and social issues will take years of slow and gradual progress. But for politicians, long-term policies are not going to get them re-elected. The voters won't be able to notice the difference in just a few years. Instead, politicians like to focus on short-term issues, things that they can change and get the results right now. While long-term planning and thinking may be really beneficial, politicians tend to focus on short-term planning so they can get results. In fact, this tendency for short-term thinking instead of long-term planning is widespread across all elements of society, including English learning. Today, I want to make the case why you should all be planning and thinking long-term when studying English. In language learning, it is crucial to have a clear understanding of the difference between short-term and long-term thinking. Short-term thinking is when you focus only on immediate results, right? Results right now, without considering the long-term consequences. On the other hand, long-term thinking involves considering the future outcomes and planning accordingly. In the context of language learning, short-term thinking can have several drawbacks. For example, an English learner who focuses only on immediate results may prioritize the memorization of vocabulary and grammar rules for a specific test or exam. Right, you remember things just for your exam. But this approach can be counterproductive in the long run, as it may lead to limited language proficiency and difficulty in retaining information. In contrast, long-term thinking can bring numerous benefits to language learning. When you consider your long-term goals, you can focus on developing a comprehensive understanding of English and creating a strong foundation for further learning. This can lead to better overall proficiency, greater ease in communication, and a deeper appreciation of the language and culture. Setting long-term language learning goals is an essential aspect of long-term thinking. These goals should be realistic and achievable, while also providing a clear direction for you to follow. Examples of long-term language learning goals might include becoming fluent in a language, achieving proficiency in reading and writing, or being able to converse with native speakers on various topics. Creating a long-term language learning plan is a critical aspect of achieving success and proficiency in English. A comprehensive and well-designed plan can help you to establish clear goals, develop a structured approach to learning, and stay motivated and accountable. The first step in creating a long-term language learning plan is to establish clear and achievable goals. This might include goals related to proficiency level, such as becoming intermediate or advanced within a certain time frame. It could also include more specific goals related to language skills, such as improving your pronunciation, expanding your vocabulary, or mastering complex grammar. Your goals should be realistic, they should be achievable, and they should be aligned with your overall learning objectives. Once goals have been established, the next step is to develop a structured approach to learning. You could create a study plan that breaks down your learning journey into manageable steps and incorporate a range of learning activities, including reading, writing, speaking, and listening practice. To keep the learning process engaging and enjoyable, you should incorporate a range of diverse learning strategies into your long-term language learning plan. Try online resources, attending language exchange events, listening to podcasts or audiobooks in English, or working with a language tutor or conversation partner. Finally, stay accountable and motivated throughout your journey. Set regular checkpoints to assess progress towards language learning goals, track your study time and productivity, and keep a language learning journal to reflect on the successes and challenges you face. One common long-term learning goal is to achieve proficiency in English. Proficiency refers to the ability to use the language in a range of situations and contexts, with a high level of accuracy and fluency. To achieve this goal, you might consider enrolling in a language course that covers all language skills, including reading, writing, speaking, and listening. You might focus on practicing language skills through regular immersion experiences, such as attending cultural events, reading books or articles in English, or speaking in English with native speakers or other English learners. Another common long-term learning goal is to improve fluency. Fluency refers to the ability to use a language smoothly and efficiently, with a high degree of ease. To achieve this goal, you might try to develop your speaking and listening skills by practicing with a language tutor or conversation partner, watching movies or TV shows in your target language, and participating in language exchange programs. Another long-term language learning goal is to expand English vocabulary and grammar knowledge. You might consider using vocabulary or grammar building resources such as flashcards, language apps, and grammar books. You might focus on reading extensively in English, particularly texts that are at your level or slightly above your current level. Or you might write regularly in English and seek feedback from a tutor or a language learning partner. Some of you may want to develop specialized language skills, such as the ability to conduct business in English, or medicine, or legal English. To achieve this goal, taking specialized language courses, or working with a language tutor or coach who specializes in medicine or in business English are good ideas. You might focus on developing a deep understanding of the cultural context in which language is used, particularly in situations where specialized language skills are necessary. When you take a long-term approach, you are more likely to experience a range of benefits that can help you achieve greater success, proficiency, and enjoyment in your language learning journey. One of the primary benefits of long-term thinking is that it can help you stay motivated and persistent in your effort. By focusing on long-term goals, you can avoid the frustration and disappointment that often comes with short-term thinking. Instead of thinking, today was a failure, tomorrow's a success, the day after is a failure, you think in the long term, the gradual journey. You can remain committed to learning, even when progress is slow or challenging. Long-term thinking can also improve memory retention and recall. When you take a comprehensive and sustained approach to English learning, you are more likely to retain vocabulary, grammar, and other skills. Another benefit of long-term thinking is that it can improve overall proficiency. Taking the time to develop a strong foundation and then building upon it consistently over time makes it more likely you will achieve a greater mastery of English. And finally, long-term thinking can help to develop a deeper appreciation and understanding of English and the culture associated with it. You will be more likely to understand the nuances and complexities of English, as well as the cultural context in which it is used. So I've just spent 10 minutes explaining why long-term thinking and planning is beneficial for English learners. Does this mean you should never think in the short term? No, not necessarily. There are also situations in which short-term thinking may be necessary or beneficial for you guys. For example, if you are preparing for a specific event or situation, a job interview, a presentation, or an exam, you might want to focus on those short-term goals and strategies. Prioritize that specific language skill, such as speaking for a job interview or writing and vocabulary for an exam, and then practice those skills intensively to achieve your desired outcome. That's a great reason to think in the short term. If you are struggling with a specific language barrier, such as a specific grammar rule or a pronunciation challenge, then again, short-term thinking can be useful. A good approach here is to focus on identifying the issue you struggle with, seeking targeted feedback or support from a language tutor or coach, and then practicing with specific exercises or drills until you overcome that barrier. Long-term language learning goals can sometimes feel overwhelming or abstract, especially for beginners or for learners who have experienced setbacks or plateaus in their progress. In these situations, short-term thinking can be useful for maintaining motivation and momentum. For example, you might set short-term goals such as learning a set number of new vocabulary words per week, or practicing speaking for a certain amount of time each day, to help you stay focused and motivated. And short-term thinking can be beneficial when you need to adjust your goals or strategies in response to changing circumstances. If your schedule changes or your resources change, you might need to adapt your learning plan to fit with these new circumstances. So here is today's final thought. Adopting a long-term mindset in language learning is a key to achieving meaningful and sustainable progress. If you can create clear, realistic, long-term language learning plans, focus on specific learning goals, and incorporate strategies to maintain your motivation and your momentum, English learners like you listening can increase your chances of success. There are situations in which short-term thinking may be necessary or beneficial, such as preparing for a specific event or overcoming a specific barrier. But ultimately, finding that right balance between long-term thinking and short-term thinking is crucial for you all to stay motivated, adaptable, and on track in your English learning journey. With dedication, persistence, and a strategic approach, English learners can make steady progress and achieve fluency in English. But what do you think? Do you prefer long-term thinking or short-term planning when it comes to studying English? Let me know what your long-term language learning goals are by leaving a comment on the Thinking in English transcript, a comment on Spotify, or send me a message on Instagram. If you enjoy listening to Thinking in English, please consider supporting me by joining my Patreon. In return, you can join my conversation clubs and listen to bonus episodes and also help the podcast. Make sure you're following me on Instagram and YouTube. Make sure you leave a 5-star rating wherever you are listening right now. Recommend Thinking in English to one of your friends today. And thank you for listening. I'll see you all next time.